Good morning, Tottenham fans. Only a few days to go now until the massive game against Bodo Glimt. In the last round, we beat Frankfurt. And for me, I thought that was two really good performances to get us over the line, especially the away game in Frankfurt. Before the game, I had many comments saying that we wouldn't beat Frankfurt. Frankfurt were too strong at home. They haven't lost in Europe for over a year. They always win at home, so we had no chance. But when Spurs finally beat them, it's only Frankfurt. Then the new narrative was Spurs haven't beaten anybody to get to where they are. There's no standards in the Europa League and it's easy. That's why Spurs are in the semi-final. And even if they win it, they can't be proud of it because it's not a very high standard competition. Now, for me, I think that's ridiculous for a start. Obviously, that's why I'm making this video. But I just wanted to go through in this video today about other managers in the Europa League, how they fared, what they did, what they achieved, who they played against, so how tough was their competition and how far did they get in the competition. So I'll talk about Pochettino, I'll talk about Conte, Jose, Nuno, even Harry Redknapp. I'll go through what they did in this competition to see if they had it tougher than Ange has had it. So Pochettino in 2014 and 2015, he played Partizan Belgrade away and drew 0-0 in his first game. He drew 1-1 with Besiktas at home and then beat Ancheros Tripolis 5-1 at home. Then he beat them away 2-1. Then he beat Partizan Belgrade 1-0 at home and then lost away to Besiktas. So his group was Besiktas, Tripolis and Partizan Belgrade, and obviously them. And they ended up qualifying for the knockout stages. Okay, so far you wouldn't say that was a very tough group to get out of. So then there's the knockout stages and they drew 1-1 with Fiorentina at home and then lost to Fiorentina 2-0 away, and they went out in the last 32. So didn't even make it to the last 16. This was Poch's first season, so can't be too hard on him, but make up your own decision whether that was a tough run of games for Spurs to play. Yeah? We have to just point out that Fiorentina did finish 4th in the Italian league that season. So Poch again in the 2015-2016 season, he was in a group with Karabag, Monaco and Anderlecht. So for me, not the hardest group in the world. So he beat Karabag 3-1, drew with Monaco away 1-1, lost to Anderlecht away 2-1, beat Anderlecht 2-1 at home, beat Karabag 1-0 away, and then beat Monaco at home 4-1, which was a good result, as Monaco finished 3rd in the French league that year. Next round had Fiorentina again, but this time managed to get a 1-1 draw and then beat them 3-0 at home. So he progressed to the last 16 this time, where he got battered 3-0 away to Dortmund and 2-1 at home with a 5-1 aggregate to Dortmund in the last 16. Dortmund, put a little bit of context into this, Dortmund finished 2nd in the Bundesliga that year, and Frankfurt are 3rd currently in the Bundesliga this year. So not much difference between them two. Poch got absolutely battered. Ange got his team through to a semi. So let's even talk about, Poch as well. Let's have a look at Poch. In the 16-17 season, when they dropped out of the Champions League, he got drawn against Ghent and they lost 1-0 at home and drew 2-2 away. So Ghent, in the last 32 of the Europa League, Poch went out to Ghent in the 16-17 season, prime Poch era. So another easy game on paper, but we went out badly and then got embarrassed. So let's look at Jose Mourinho, 2020 to 2021. A little bit of context into this. Obviously, he was coming through a COVID era. So in his group, he had Lask, Royal Antwerp and Ludo Goretz. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, on paper, no disrespect for those teams, but that should be a group that Spurs should be qualifying in. So, Jose won at home to Lask 3-0, then lost 1-0 away to Royal Antwerp in his second game. Then we beat Ludogorets 3-1 away and then beat them 4-0 at home. But then Jose drew 3-3 away to Lask. The pragmatic Jose Mourinho drew 3-3 away to Lask. Then they beat Royal Antwerp 2-0. Next round, in the last 32, Jose got drawn against Wolfsberger. Now, don't be confused with the German team Wolfsburg, which for me is a much better standard of team. This was the Austrian side, Wolfsberger. They beat them 4-0 and 4-1 and easily got through on an 8-1 aggregate. So now Jose's in the last 16. So we played against Dynamo Zagreb. These were Croatian champions, but this is a Croatian league. This is not one of the top 5 leagues that everyone goes on about. If you don't win anything in the top 5 leagues, you're not decent enough when they speak about Ange. But let's talk about Dynamo Zagreb. So Spurs won 2-0 at home to Dynamo Zagreb. So you'd think, right, the pragmatic Mourinho would have to go away to Dynamo Zagreb and get us over the line with a 2-goal advantage and sit back. Nope. Dynamo Zagreb beat Spurs 3-0, beat Jose Mourinho's team 3-0, and we went out in the last 16. Croatian champions beat Spurs 3-0 and we went out. And that was Jose Mourinho. There was all pragmatic football there, but we still conceded 3 goals and lost. So, Nuno, 21-22 season, he didn't have much of a European run, but he played 3 games he managed to play in the Euro. This is the Conference League, by the way. So, Nuno drew 2-2 away to Rennes. He beat Mura 5-1 in the group. So, we had Rennes, Mura and Vitesse, by the way. So, and then lost to Vitesse 1-0 away. So the great Nuno, who's doing a great job at Nottingham Forest, lost 1-0 away to Vitesse. The pragmatic Nuno. So then Conte took charge for the next Conference League match and he beat Vitesse 3-2. But then in the next game, he lost away to Mura 2-1. Mura. This is Conte. He had Kane, Ndombele, Dele Alli starting. Sonny came on after 54 minutes and the great Conte lost 2-1. So because we couldn't play against Rennes because of COVID restrictions and all that palaver we had, Rennes got the victory. But if we got the victories early in the round, we would have been automatically through. But because we couldn't beat teams like Vitesse and Mura, Spurs went out of the Europa Conference League. Let's go back to Harry Redknapp. Harry Redknapp had a group with Ruben Kazan, PAOK, that's that team from Greece, and Shamrock Rovers from Ireland. Right? So he lost to PAOK and Ruben Kazan, drew with Ruben Kazan in another game too. Spurs didn't even qualify out of that group. They finished third, only winning 3 of those 6 matches. So Harry Redknapp had a group of Ruben Kazan, PAOK and Shamrock Rovers and came third. Okay? Spurs didn't even qualify out of the group. Poch also went out to Ghent in 16-17 season, which we already spoke about, so I just wrote that down. But yeah, that just explains what these other managers have done in previous Europa League ties. I'm just saying that just because on paper you think Spurs haven't played anybody and it's not an achievement, Ange needs a little bit of credit for getting us to a semi-final of Europa League that no other manager could even do. Even with poor teams in front of them, they couldn't progress. Ange done this in a massively injury-hit season and still managed to get us in the semi-final of Europa League and the semi-final of a League Cup as well. I'm just saying, I'm not saying he's the greatest manager in the world. I'm just saying he deserves a little bit of respect for what he's actually done this season. Because, like I've just mentioned in this video, not many managers, or any of those managers, progressed further than the last 16. So, a little bit of respect for what he's done this season. And thank you for watching. Come on, you Spurs.